Alright, so today I'm going to talk about the race that I've got coming up. I've got TransLantau 100 kilometers coming up in a few weeks time. That's in Hong Kong. So it'll be my third 100 kilometer of the year. I wanted to make a video now today just showing you guys the kind of training that I've been up to leading up to the race. Obviously running a 100 kilometer race every single month makes training a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging, having to think through how I'm going to structure my training, obviously recovery from previous races. So yeah, I just wanted to talk you guys through my kind of Strava, show you what I've been up to. Yeah, looking at TransLantau, so TransLantau 100k, you can see here guys, 100 kilometers, 5,500 meters of gain throughout the race. So yeah, it's quite steep, a lot of up and down, and looking forward to that completely. I always love really hilly, mountainous kind of races. You can see, you know, just plenty of mountains straight out of the sea, so it looks like a really beautiful course. If you scroll down looking at the elevation profiles, you can see it's pretty much up and down the whole race. Got some nice big climbing at the start up to Lantau Peak. So you start off pretty much at sea level by the looks of it on the beach, and then gradually make your way up towards Lantau Peak. So some good serious climbing throughout really, and finishing with a nice long downhill there. That's always good fun with some dropping down, some descent. So looking forward to it. It's going to be an interesting race. You start at 11:30 on the Friday night. So this will be my first race when I've really raced. Started in the night time, you know, racing through the darkness. So it's going to be a new experience for me, racing all night with the head torch. Anyway, let's get to my training guys, so let's get to Strava. Going back, this is my last race now, so Thailand North Face 100. So I got first place in that race, baked alive, it was a hot race, really hot. But yeah, coming after that race, you can see I had 4 days of rest. Did some cross training though, did a fair bit of cycling, so this is to and from work. Making sure that I always moving myself every single day. That's always a goal of mine. Whether there's nothing on Strava or not, I'm always walking, I'm always keeping myself active. I can't sit still for too long, got too much energy for that. But yeah, coming off a hard race, coming off 100k, I always like to make sure I'm doing some active recovery, so moving my body, and cycling for me is a great way to do that. Just making sure you're getting the blood flow continually going. Really keeps everything in top shape, and then you can see from that I kind of recovered pretty well. So I got straight back into the running again. So 4 days off from the running legs and straight back into it with a double day, and this is just running commute back and forward to work. So I do a lot of running commuting to work at the moment. That seems to work really well for me. You know, it can be a bit more challenging. It can certainly prepare you pretty well for ultra racing as well when you've got to carry a backpack. I'm picking up fruit on the way to work, breakfast as well, stuff like that. So you can find I'm weighing myself down, and then often if I'm finishing work, sometimes I finish towards kind of midday here, so this is 12:45 p.m. and obviously being in Thailand it's pretty hot as well, so get some good kind of heat training benefits with that as well. But you can see the pace is not too hot, so this is all kind of aerobic based stuff really. Coming off an ultra race, you don't want to push things too hard too soon. And then yeah, I managed to get a nice kind of trail run in here, so this is getting some elevation back in the legs. Obviously we saw the elevation profile of TransLantau. It's quite a hilly race, 5,500 meters of gain, so I really wanted to make sure I got the hills back into the legs pretty quick after that race and start training in some elevation. So nice and early on the trails. I was actually off work that day, so I had a bit more time to get on the trails. 648 meters, so that's going to be a pilgrimage trail, which is a local trail here in Chiang Mai, really nice trail. Next day, last man standing. So last man standing, this is a great trail here in Chiang Mai. Snake hopping, I did see a snake that day, I had to jump over him. This was the first time that I was running in my speed goats, my Hoka speed goats as well. I really enjoyed these shoes. Chasing some vert up the mountain. 2 hours, 18 kilometers, and over 1,300 meters of climbing. So you can see if you look at the profile of this trail, straight up and down, really steep efforts in there. It's a fantastic trail, really great fun. Then coming down the trail, had a blast. Just I went for put a bit of effort in there, and I got the downhill course record. So really enjoyed that, and the Hoka Speed Goats, great shoes. Really felt really comfortable and fast in those. So that'll be my shoes of choice coming up to TransLantau. Great tread on them, really nice and light, but great cushioning for the ultras as well. So really looking forward to racing in those. Okay, so then coming back onto the Sunday then, I felt a bit beaten up from the trail on the last man standing on that Saturday, so I decided not to go too far like I would on a typical Sunday. But yeah, I did a nice double, so just 10k in the morning, 10k in the evening. Just getting in the miles in the legs again, getting that weekly balance up again. You can see I only ran 4 days that week, but got up to 75k, so it's not super far, but 2,500 meters of climbing as well, pretty much. So it's a pretty good week to get the climb legs back on and get working up towards that kind of TransLantau shape that I'm hoping to get to. So now you can see just 2 weeks now I've done of training work up to the race. I've got another week of training this week, but then next Friday is the race. So I've only got 12 days until the race now, so definitely kind of leading myself into a bit of a taper now. As you can see, these past 2 weeks have been some good weeks here of training. So it's been 300 kilometers of training pretty much over these last 2 weeks, and you can see over 4,500 meters of climbing last week, and then 3,000 meters on the week here. So it's been a good couple of weeks of training. You can see that on the Mondays here, 17 Ks, starting off with a good bit of climbing here. And then all this week now you can see lots of running, commuting, so double days, running, commuting, back and forth to work. See the pace really isn't too high a lot of the time. Always trying to focus really on just getting the aerobic base building in, get the time on legs. And it feels like with all the races I've done recently, it hasn't really been a kind of solid training block, and it feels nice just to make sure you're getting that consistent running in. For me, that's a big thing that I really feed off. I do a lot of cycling from time to time, but at the moment I haven't done too much cycling. I've just been focusing on doing as much of the running commuting as I can, just making sure I'm getting in double runs as much as possible, and making sure I'm running consecutively every single day. So going down, you can see if we look at my heart rate from this run, average there 132 beats per minute, so pretty low down there, very much aerobic run. This is out to work. So ideally, if I had all the time in the world, I certainly wouldn't be running as I am across the city on busy motorways. It's not the funnest of runs. If I wasn't working full time with the teaching, I'd be heading out west up onto the mountains here. You can see this is where I have all my fun on the weekends. But for the moment, that's what I've got. Into mid-March now, I'm going to be leaving my teaching position, and I'll be able to start doing the training that I really want to do. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it affects my performance as well. Managing to really kind of get the elevation, the time in the trails. I'm really making sure I'm being consecutive with my sessions. That's a real big deal for me. But yeah, going back to it, you can see that's just nice, consistent running, back and forth to work. And then again, back onto the last man standing on the weekend. It's a fantastic trail, I really enjoy it. And you can see this time I actually did some reps, what I call the wall. Halfway up the trail, you can see on the way down, I turned around and did four reps up the wall. The wall is a pretty steep segment just there on the trail that I created. It's basically less than 200 meters in length. I think it's more like 100 meters in length, but pretty much 100 meters of climbing as well with each effort. So it's pretty steep, some good hill reps, get the heart rate back up, get the striding legs, the hiking legs ready for the ultras before bombing it back down then on the climb. So really trying to beat the legs up. That's something I definitely try and do when it comes to coming up to a hard ultra race. Make sure I've got the strength there, so make sure that the descents, I'm feeling nice and strong. Moving and flowing well on the descents, that's a big thing for me. I think a lot of people will benefit a lot just from making sure they get plenty of time on the trails, more so just for building that strength in the leg from the descents. If you're not training on the hills, it's really difficult to replicate that when it comes to a race, and you can find that if your quads go early on in the race, you can have a tough time. So making sure I'm always blasting it down the hills when I can to really develop that strength is a big thing for me. And then when it comes to a race, you feel a lot more comfortable with that. Going back again, so last man standing down, but you can see here this was probably my last real key long run leading up to the race now. A 40k run on the mountain, over nearly 2,500 meters of climbing, and this was like a 5-hour effort, so pretty nice loop out from where I am in Chiang Mai, straight from the city. That's what I love. You can get straight onto the mountain and then just go for these big epic adventures. But yeah, you can see some big climbing, dropping back down and then back up the other side. A nice long 40k run just to make sure the endurance is still there, make sure I'm building some good strength on the hills. What I always like to do on these runs as well, just to really make sure the strength is being developed. As you can see, I've got lots of up and downs here, but then towards the latter half, I always know that this last climb here, up to Doi Pri Summit, you can see, I think someone's even made a segment here calling it the wall. This is just super steep effort, as you can see on the climb. I always make sure I push that last little bit, make sure I'm really developing that last bit of strength when I'm exhausted on my legs. I'm already pretty tired. When it comes to the steep bit, just really trying to motor a power hike up there. It's really important. I think it's really beneficial as well if you're training for these ultra races to really kind of think about structuring your long runs in a way that you can get almost like a tempo effort in the middle or towards the end of these long runs. So really asking more of yourself, asking more from your body, more from your legs, more from your feet, your calves, everything that's hurting towards the end of these runs, by adding in a bit of that kind of tempo effort level. So it doesn't necessarily mean have to be pace. As you can see, my pace isn't stunningly fast up here because it's so steep. You know, over nearly 16%, you know, higher than that 25% at some points in grade. So it's really steep climbing, but making sure that you put some effort into there, really pushing it for that little bit towards the end of a run can really make a difference to raising your threshold of everything, basically. Making sure that you know how to work on tired legs, on the tired body, and really develop yourself. So that's something I always try and throw into these longer runs. If you were leading up to a 100k race, personally I would always try and do something maybe a little bit longer than this, or do a few more of these kind of 40k runs leading up to a 100k race. But as you can see, it's not long been since I've raced 100k, and then if we go back even more, that's the Hong Kong 100 there. And again, you know, we've got some more races here, Chiang Mai Marathon, Thailand Ultramarathon. So I've been racing quite regularly over these ultras recently, so it's not really something that I need to think about really being completely concerned about. Obviously having more of these long runs is going to be beneficial moving forward and progressing yourself, but for the moment I'm just trying to make sure I'm staying healthy. And to be honest, you can see, coming straight off that long week there, that 4 days running, I've been running every day straight, which for me is something that I haven't been doing for a while, and it's definitely something I'm feeling really good about. If you're having kind of a break from training when you're doing a lot of racing, it can definitely get your mind into a bit of a fuzz, and it's been nice just to make sure I'm getting a nice consecutive running in again, and it's really making me feel a lot stronger and just feeling that flow again, and definitely that headspace, which is really important for me. So yeah, leading from that straight into the following week, some coaching, lots of commutes again, dodging tuk-tuks and such on those work runs. But yeah, getting some nice kind of head torch running in as well. That was something I got on this run as well, so nice and early on that run. Making sure that I've had some practice with the head torch leading up to TransLantau. I already discussed that earlier in the video, so making sure you get some practice is really important. So I managed to get up head torch at Pilgrims that day. Took a dive on the descent, still got some scratches from that. That was actually quite deep, that one. But yeah, nice way to get the adrenaline running in the morning. But yeah, it's nice and fun getting on the mountain in the dark. Might do that tomorrow morning even. But yeah, coming up again. So I've got tempo Pilgrims in here. It was 28 minutes, my time going up, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's a strong effort at Pilgrims. And I've followed up with some longer hill efforts just on the road leading up to Pilgrims. So obviously compared to the Pilgrims climb, they're not that long, but the same aspect as the long run. Making sure you're getting some good strides in, some consistent kind of hill work perhaps at the end of a hillier run. Just to build that last bit of kind of interval, that last bit of strength into your body can really go a long way. And making sure again that you work on your economy, your efficiency, your form when you're already exhausted. It's a big deal, and it's something that I do to try and strengthen myself up as an athlete quite regularly. It's something that I definitely recommend to a lot of my athletes, or a lot of you guys. So yeah, after a longer run, just always try and get something out, try and get some strides in there, maybe some short hill sprints like this. Just get the most out of yourself that you can from that given run. So that was yesterday, so that's Saturday, and then on the Sunday, slept in late. I was hoping to get a nice last long kind of run in. I was possibly toying with the idea of going up to 35k, but ended up being 21k. It felt good to not go as long as I wanted to. I definitely had more energy throughout the day, and I think in the long run it's probably going to be better for myself as we are ticking down to race day now. So 7 nice days of running now, and then tapering it down for the race. So stay tuned guys, there's going to be plenty of race videos coming up in Hong Kong. Always have a good time there. Spending a week in Hong Kong this time as well, so I'll be able to check out some more of the trails while I'm there, and definitely do some cool adventures with Louise. So we'll get lots of videos for you guys for that. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Lots more awesome adventures coming this year. As I said, some really exciting plans ahead. Make sure you check me out Strava, as I say, it's all on here guys. If you want to see what I'm doing, what I do with my training. Give me an email if you're after coaching or any training plans, harryrunsuk@gmail.com. Check out harryruns.com, and thanks for watching guys, and happy running.